Greetings, viewer. Once again, you find yourself at the pinnacle of NLC Fall Open coverage. I am Trajan. Joining me today are Temporal and Milo the Autofilled as we kick off Qualifier 2 Day 3 with Nordavind versus Absolved.
Oh, it's going to be a great time. I'm excited. I'm really excited. We've got an absolute banger of a best of one. I normally say banger of a series. We're going to keep the tagline, but something slightly different this morning.
Yeah, best of one, always exciting. Anything can happen. You don't get time to watch it, to kind of feel the other team out. So it's gonna be fun.
Adaptation? I don't believe you.
We did see some real spicy best of ones last time, so I'm still hoping that these best of ones will deliver. Since this is the last day of the last qualifier, I want to kick this off by taking a brief retrospective on Q2 and the qualifiers as a whole so far. We've got the bracket up here, so I want to get your general thoughts on how this played out. We'll go to you, Milo, first.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I expected it to be very close, and I think it has been. We see people we have for example, we're watching Nordavind and Absolved today. Both of them actually dropped a single game in their series earlier. We had Absolved that dropped one against Enclave, I believe it was, and Nordavind dropped one against Lightside, which is like teams you didn't expect them to drop games against. We had the Dusty versus Barrage Academy, was also really close. So I think it's been very close this time around, and I think it's been very exciting.
Absolutely. Some teams you wouldn't expect to run the gauntlet, getting all the way to the quarterfinals. I didn't think Nairiki would be here, but they survive on. They took out Invulnerables once again. And, Barrage Academy taking an early exit, not what many people would have expected, but then Dusty running the gauntlet, so maybe they can say they came second if they win out today.
I mean, we do have a very interesting matchup here with M&M going up against Dusty on the other side of the bracket, the other semi-final here today. M&M obviously falling to Ents 2-0 last time, and this time up against Nairiki, another Finnish roster in front of them. They kind of walked on them, to be honest, off the back of some really amazing plays by Monk, their bot laner. So I want to get your guys' thoughts just on this matchup particularly, since this is gonna give our opponent when we get to that final.
Yeah, will be a bit of a close one. M&M not maybe in that top bracket of teams, but a team we expected to do well this weekend. And Dusty as well, a pretty strong showing. So we're starting to see teams that we've expected to go far take slogs at each other. And the way it's going to go is not quite set in stone just yet.
No, yeah, I agree. It's gonna be a fun fun game. It's gonna be close with those teams, Dusty and Eminem. As we talked about before, there's a little bit coach versus coach here, as we both know the other coach. I'm purely on coach difference. I'm gonna say Dusty. They have Vendetto. They took a guy he took like a team like Godsend all the way to playoffs in NLC. No one expected it. So yeah.
I'm going to show my other bias. The coach for M&M is Pravius, my strategic coach on Vector Gaming. We were the first team in Europe, first team in a Riot-affiliated league to play Senna Wukong. He's got the best of one spice in his pocket. I can feel it. This is going to be a banger of a game.
That's why we've got you on the desk, Temporal, because you've got that future sight. You've got the big analytical brain combined with Milo the Analyst as well. So, okay, so if we talked about the other series here, I want to have a look at who's actually qualified out of both of these qualifiers, because we did have some favorites coming into this tournament. We had 6 favorites that we expected to come through, and if we look at them on your screen there, so far it's all come true. We've all been equally big brain in our predictions of favorites so far.
Yeah, they all, as you said, they all went through. We have both Barrage, Nordavind, and Dusty, Eminem, and Singularity, and we had some few extra that we didn't put up here. There we see them, and I think the biggest, as we also talked about last week, the one that's most surprising is probably Viking Sports. No one expected that at all.
They snuck up really quietly. I had the pleasure of casting some of their early series when they qualified last week, and their qualifier series was it was an absolute clinic. Look for Sharp on this team in the main event because the man puts on a show, and it is so much fun to watch.
Absolutely, we did have that AP Shavana pulled out those spicy best of one picks, as you mentioned before. He was the architect of a lot of that spice. And I mean, so if we come into this qualifier 2, when that top 4 teams that we'd expect have already qualified, now I guess we would usually expect qualifier 2 to be a bit closer, right? As Milo touched on before, the teams, in theory, there's a little bit of a lesser skill gap between all the participants here. Do we think that's played out? Do you think the second qualifier has been very much closer than the first one? Or has there still been like an upper echelon and then everyone else kind of pushing up? We'll go to you, Temporal.
You mentioned we cut the cream off the crop last week. There was no barrage main team to sort of set the pace this event. Instead, we're going with a little bit less uncertainty. We still expect teams like Absolved, like Dusty, to sort of run through, make sure that they're now setting the pace. Their level of play is not that much so that they haven't dropped a game, though. We mentioned at the top of the desk, they both dropped games, maybe to teams you wouldn't have expected. So everything's not looking as clean and cozy this week.
Yeah, for sure. And if we now refocus, we've had a look at this tournament. It's been an absolutely amazing pair of qualifiers so far, but we are not done with qualifier 2 just yet. And that brings us to our matchup we have today, Nordavind versus Absolved. We're going to take a look at the Nordavind team first, as they have had a bit of an up and down performance for various reasons throughout both of these qualifiers. And just looking at this team, I'm going to go to you, Milo, first, because I know you've got some strong words about Sveen, their top laner.
Yeah, like for me, Sven is probably the best top laner, not only in the qualifier 2, but actually in all the qualifiers have been so far.
Ooh.
He is extremely versatile. He isn't stuck on one playstyle. He has shown that he can play the bruisers, he can play the fighters, he can play the tanks, he can even go down and play the Nico if that's what you want him to do. He is so versatile, and he can basically match everyone that he's going to meet. I also think it's very interesting against the Absol top laner we have today in SD.
It's a fantastic highlight because at this level of play, being flexible, it just adds that so much more to your team. If you have that weakness, it is easily exploited, and if you don't, it really adds to your team's chances.
Yeah, so if Sveen is the best top laner in all of these qualifiers, I want to go to you, Temporal, because this was Milo's point here. You know, you're drafting your super team for these qualifiers. You've got Doxy on one hand and Sveen on the other. Who are you picking?
Doxy or Sveen? I haven't watched a lot of Doxy's games, to be honest, so I'm gonna put my faith in Milo today and say
Sure.
Sveen is gonna have a comfy time.
Yeah, I imagine that will be a very comfy matchup for him in this top lane. And I want to go back to you, Temporal, as well, because the bot lane of Nordavind here, Tide and Touch, this is a very, old synergized bot lane. They've played a lot of games together. Do you think that's going to be a huge factor for them in this game?
So Milo's highlighted comfort in multiple styles. Having the synergy build up over multiple seasons, we've seen it impact season 10 in general so much. The Damwon roster is a fantastic exercise in what does comfort look like. Just that ability to know what your teammates are going to do, have that ingrained shot calling structure. I look to Tide and Touch in this matchup for that. They should be guiding Nordavind through this series of one game. Feels so weird. they should be applying that, making sure that Absolved get no quick ways in, nothing gets past them, and that they control this game going forwards.
Sure. So if we have a lot of faith in the bot lane from Nordavind here, let's move forward and take a look at the Absolved team. And I think that we would say that their bot lane has been pretty consistent so far as well, would we not, Milo?
Yeah, we would. They played last bit together as well. So again, they don't have that like fresh team, not really know each other. They have like synergy that they've built up. They worked together from before. I also know, even though they've only played like last bit together, they have also known each other before that. And I think Takeset and Only 35 is a really strong bot lane. I think Takeset is definitely one of the better ADCs that we have in this top 4 of this qualifier. And definitely one that is you have to really watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we love consistency here. We love good value all the time, but sometimes you need to get a bit flashy. You need to go for these pop-off plays. And Temporal, which of these Absolved members do you think is going to be pulling that out today?
So Eden Fox plays a lot of Akali, and
Mm.
the man he has already earned his style points, and we'll be looking to just top off the account today. Just make that balance look that little bit bigger. We're looking to Eden Fox to play assassins to get style points to make sure that Nordavind's mid unit around the mid and jungle just can't win a 2v2, can't win a 3v3, and that will spell doom in a best of 1.
Sure. If this mid unit is very important for them, we said that the bot lanes are both fairly consistent in that matchup. But if this mid jungle is going to be where each team looks to find an advantage, let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into that one. With Absolved, primarily their mid jungle unit, you said that's their key to success. They've looked very strong. But how about the side of Nordavind? How about their mid jungle duo, Milo? Do you think they're going to be able to stack up?
Well, I personally, I would say I've seen a few of their games and they look really strong. We also heard from Officer Naughty of Eminem that I think is one of the most scary mid jungle duos in the whole qualifier. And I definitely think if anyone is gonna match Shakal and Eden Fox, it's definitely them.
Sure.
Mm.
What do you think, Tim Poor? Do you think that's enough? Do you think it's enough to stem Eden Fox and Shakal, or is that going to be
I
still
think it's
going their
enough to
way?
guarantee fireworks. Now,
Sure.
which color these fireworks are going to be,
Yeah.
good luck guessing. But definitely this 2v2 around the mid and jungle is going to be absolutely crucial. As we know, assassins don't have great wave clear. So if you fall behind on one, you're in a bit more trouble than you'd otherwise be on a more controlling mage. So maybe Eden Fox and Shakal will sort of trap themselves there. Maybe they'll use the tools of assassins to get themselves ahead and make that a huge snowball. Either way, it's going to be absolutely pivotal.
Sure. And I mean, the mid jungle duo is definitely very important. It's very prevalent in this meta right now, but there is often a third member in that duo, kind of a half member. The supports are roaming a lot right now in this meta as well. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on which side is going to be able to leverage that more. Because we talked about both of these bot lanes, they're very consistent with each other, but how well can they synergize with that mid jungle side?
Do you want to go
Well,
first? Well,
yes, of course. So we have, if we start off at the one we can see on our screen, which right now is only 35, he is a support that I would say, from going into this, I didn't expect him to roam a lot. I didn't expect him to be there for the team and more for take set. But he's actually shown that he is willing to play stuff like the Pantheon, like the Karma, and just be out on the map, going up, helping Eden Fox, getting him ahead, be with Shakal, and he's really been, as you said, a third member of this jungle mid duo. Meanwhile, if you go to Touch, that's a guy I expected more from because he has such a versatile. He can basically either decide to stay or and be this very supportive, like 80k support, but he is also really good at the roaming. I want to see him on stuff like the Bard, where he can really get out and do his stuff. So I think it's really, we have a 3v3 instead of a 2v2.
If only 35 is expected to be lane kingdom, Touch is expected to be numbers advantage Boogaloo. Where have you gone? Oh god, he's mid. Oh no, get rid of him, no.
Yeah. Sure. Well, with that, we'll have to see if that plays out as we expect here. And we are nearing that time to get this one kicked off. So we're going to get some quick predictions from you both here of the series. And now we're going to go full hard mode here. I want the series score and the winner as well. So Simporal, what have you got in your head?
Oh, I see. In the future,
Mm-hmm.
1-0. I think it's 100% guaranteed. Absolved will
Really?
take the win.
Solved, sure. Milo?
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. On
Yeah.
paper, Absolved just looks better. I think they've had better performances, and even though they also did drop a game, just like Nordavind, it was definitely against a better team. So yeah, I agree. 1-0 to Absolved.
Sure. Well, that's our analysts in agreement here, and that is going to be all for us on this analyst deck. It's time to kick off this series right now. We are going to throw it to our casters, Initialize and now Mira. Take it away, lads.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the caster desk for Absolved versus Nordavind. I am Samuel Initialize Hapgood. I am joined by Alexander Nymera Hapgood. We may not be the Blues Brothers, but we have got the casting band back together here for this semi-final on the NLC Fall Open Qualifiers.
It is just a best of one you'll get from us today, so we get to put all our cards on the table. You know, this is the point where we say, well, we've got like a half pack of cigarettes, full tank of gas, it's dark, 100 miles to Chicago, and we're wearing shades, let's hit it. Yeah. However, I can't remember the entirety of that quote from Blues Brothers, as you were setting me up for.
Nor are you wearing shades.
Nor am I actually wearing shades. However, we are left with this game between Nordavind and Absolved. We did get to see Absolved versus Barrage on the SQ1 broadcast, which was such a good series. Fantastic. I got to see Infox taking on Sandcox in the mid lane, really fun matchup. See only 35 popping off on his Pantheon. However, at least for us as the caster duo, Nordavind, a bit new to us, but I'm really excited to see these guys.
Yeah, of course, both of the analysts favor Absolved in this matchup, but I know it's a bit of a contentious one. Both of these teams have got the capability to take this one, even if the edge, as it stands, is going towards Absolved.
It is a best of one. Anything can happen with that. Even in a best of three, sometimes that adaptation just isn't quite on point, but we know that Nordavind have picked red side. That is quite important because, I mean, blue side is often seen as a very impactful choice because you get to first pick a Lucian or a Graves or any
Sure.
of these priority champions, which we've seen throughout both the qualifiers. The tournament meta has evolved at this point. We see all these farm junglers. You want priority mid, two pushing lanes to start, giving a platform, a foundation for these junglers to get a leg up on their opponent, and then becomes just so much more useful for them. We're going into pick and ban now, so we'll have to see what these teams really want to prioritize.
Absolutely, as we just mentioned, Absolved is on the blue side, Nordavind chose red, and a bit to prove for both these squads. They want to kind of come into this and give a good showing here, even if they have both now qualified, I believe, to the
Yep,
full
of course,
event
yep.
in a couple of weeks.
This is seeding. This is for
Exactly
seeding only.
that. And pride, which goes a long way. I'm very happy to tell you all. But that said, first bans are now coming in. It's Twisted Fate first out for Absolved, and Akali on the other side. Take that away from Eden Fox. Don't want to see that again.
It says something that Akali is banned before
Yes.
Lucian. Gonna
Yes,
throw
it
that
does.
out there. I think that the TF is a good ban, and the Galio. Okay, so Luxie has played a Lucian game once during the qualifiers. However, the Galio and the TF allows you to just not care about lane. You just go somewhere else. You go
Sure.
towards a very strong top lane. We know that both these top lanes are very, very strong. We got to see Acity versus Doxy in that Absorb Barrage matchup, and I know that, of course, the analysts are talking about, well, is actually Zveen the best top laner in these qualifiers? Well, he might be, and we'll get to see that matchup. However, with the TF or a Galio, might have tilted that, so they got rid of them very quickly.
We've got 4 globals off the table in this ban. TF, Galio, Shen, Pantheon all have ways to get around the map and turn up when you really don't want them to.
But we also have no Lucian ban, no
Yep.
Graves ban, both very adequate first picks.
Absolutely.
Lilia also up
Are
and
you happy
available.
to trade those?
That's the thing, right? So what we saw from a previous match, I believe it was Barrage Academy actually with Flipper, versus a team which didn't really play Lucian. They'd first pick the Lilia, and then they get the Lucian and blue 2-3. However, that's probably not going to happen because both these teams are players of that. Eden Fox has been very, very good on this Lucian. Like I said, he plays the aggressive champions very, very to the limits. So I have to see what the chosen lane matchup will be, because of course looks like there's been a lot of respect there with the Akali and the LeBlanc band, both towards Eden Fox.
Orianna is the response. It's one of those control mages which kind of stuck it through thick and thin, even in a meta where pressure is important. Orianna has kind of survived the culling of a lot of control mages.
Really?
No pun intended, but alas, it still sits there. And of course, you know, Lucian can get some priority of the Orianna, but there's trade back potential.
I'm going to use that as a segue, because of course the very first Lucian mid game we saw at the professional level was it was Xiaohu versus, I believe it was Faker at MSI 2016. This was the Lucian versus Orianna matchup. The lane matchup goes very well for the Lucian, but then eventually you get to this point where if Lucian has to fight front to back and dash into the ball, things go very, very badly. The Jhin, also very, very helpful in terms of locking someone in place, allowing that shockwave to be able to be used as a pick tool alongside the curtain call too. So yeah, a lot of things to be aware of just from these two picks already, without showing too much in their playstyle.
For sure. Interesting that both of these squads have not gone towards the jungle, and Shakal
There we go.
immediately locks in the eponymous, the iconic Evelyn for this guy. I am so excited to see him pick this one up again.
As you know, I am the analyst between the two of us, but you're the Evelyn player.
I am indeed the Evelyn player.
So Lucian Evelyn, why does that work for you?
Basically because there is a sort of damage threshold to blow people up, and both of them
You
are
must be
way...
this tall to ride the solo kill train.
Yeah, but this is like doubling how the kind of damage you need. They both put out massive amounts of damage. You hit level 6 on both these guys, and people just disappear. Orianna could be in a seriously difficult spot here, even if she runs something like the cleanse to try and get rid of the allure. A last caress followed by a culling is just dead people. It is the Nidalee on the other side. Nidalee can get an invader Evelyn early before she hits that demon shade, so maybe room for Spooky to try and corral what Shakal wants to do.
So there is a question of, do you lock in something like a Renekton and have the Renekton Nidalee topside?
Yeah, big time.
In isolation, you think, oh, that's a good combo. Then you realize you're against an Ornn, and Ornn is one of the best champions at dealing with that combo. Of course, we have seen some Ornns punished right the way through the levels of professional League of Legends, so potentially that is something that would go turn towards. What I also really like about this Ornn is that you were talking about the plethora of mixed damage coming out of the Lucian and the Evelyn. The Ornn splits the team fight very well with the call of the Forge Guard and also having that Searing Charge. So you can often end up like trying to part the sea of Nordavind in this and try and get a target isolated for these two very strong damage carries without the highest amount of engage themselves, just to blow up a target.
I have got to call out the Karthus ban here as well, considering the Evelyn was already locked in for
Karthus
results. So maybe there's something about Karthus bot, exactly, or maybe even a flex somewhere like mid, I guess, if they want to throw the Lucian elsewhere. It is
Yeah.
obviously still a flex pick, even if Lucian's primary home these days is in the mid lane. So I am interested to see what was going on behind the scenes that led to that Karthus ban. Sion and Ashe have been the next target. That's a fair amount towards top lane there from Absolved with the Shen and the Sion out of the way. So Zvea.
Well, you say that, actually, so Touch on Nordavind has played Shen support. He played 2 games of that in these qualifiers.
Yes.
Of course, that's banned away now. No need to dwell on that too much. But the last ban coming in from Absolved, the last 4 bans will be, of course, that's Sion, Leona, Karthus, and Ashe.
Okay, so we've got our full ban rosters out. See where the picks go for the likes of Nordavind. They've still got to pick up that top lane. It's still got to pick up a support as well, unless there's some real shenanigans going on. Orianna support would be an
funny
interesting
thing is,
option.
for a very long time, the highest win rate solo queue bot lane duo was actually Jhin Sion.
Really?
Yeah,
I can see
Sion
that
support
combo.
was really annoying. It was really bad.
It's not going to be the case right now because it's the Camille lock-in, that premier top lane carry. Fiora's a little tricky to pull off. Camille offers more teamfight options. The Hextech ultimatum, the hookshot, so
And
powerful.
it still
for setting
combos
up
well
picks.
Lily. It's
Absolutely.
not quite the point and click CC of Renekton. However, against the Ornn, you can start hookshotting off of the pillar, the Q from Ornn.
Yeah.
And what that means is that if you do get that start, just your damage output into the later stage of the game in a long lane means that the game can almost become unplayable in a side lane for the Ornn.
Camille now locked in with, well, not Camille, sorry, Caitlyn. I
I mean,
apologize.
technically, yes, Camille was
Yeah,
locked in. I'm not going to fault you on that.
Thank you, buddy. But it will be Caitlyn locked in for an Absolved here. Potentially looking at a Bard as well to pair that up with. That's a lot of lockdown. They go towards the Nautilus instead.
I like this.
The big kill combos there with a lot of CC. With Ornn on the top side, you can leave him to play weak side and look to play between mid and bot with the Evelyn.
The areas of interest for teams, they've had their tour guides, they've gotten out their map of the city and say, oh, we want to visit this tourist attraction in the Ornn for a free 300 gold. Whereas the other team are going down towards, they're taking the metro down and the scenic route down to the bot lane, trying to get 2 kills down to the bot lane with the Caitlyn getting accelerated, Nautilus set up, and then of course the trying to get the Evelyn and Lucian.
Can I get an all expenses trip to Summoner's Rift? Is that something
I
can get?
Look, I'm gonna throw this out. There's some very, very dangerous flora and fauna on this.
Is there really?
I like to think that I'm not qualified to go be a tour guide for Summoner's Rift.
It's sort of like heading to Isla Nuba and like finding the T-Rex there out and about. It's like, what is this giant purple worm in the river doing here?
Yes.
What an awful place to be.
Oh yes, the Jurassic Park location. I thought I'd be talking about.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift, said in a beautiful Richard Hammond impression. I'm sure we do probably have to mention was Braum locked in last for
Oh yeah, more important to talk about than Jurassic Park and sure.
We can leave that for when there's some more dull points. I'm very happy to go talk about Jurassic Park at pretty much any given point in my life, to be honest. It's John Williams did the soundtrack. That's always a big plus for me as well.
And, well, the symphonic mastermind on the Rift will be the Jhin, of course.
Indeed.
And really, Nordavind are going to have to set up this bot lane to play safely. They have to, because this Nautilus and Caitlyn, if they get ahead, very, very dangerous to these guys. I think that you can have a lot of kill combos in an isolated 2v2. I'm just worried about what happens when you throw this mid lane dynamic into it and how that allows the junglers to rotate around the map. I do think Afterdy has played very well on the whole throughout both qualifiers. However, he also has to pay attention to this other duo on the side of the Rift too. So it will be that split map in terms of what the draft is showing to us. Unless, of course, these teams choose to do something even more weird and don't play towards their draft.
And to reiterate exactly what we can tell from, at least on paper, is that Absolved probably want to play around that bot side. Get them, either the Caitlyn or the Lucian or both ahead with the aid of the Evelyn. Other side, though, it's Nidalee Camille. They want to be trying to get that duo as far ahead as possible. Nidalee is a wonderful top side jungler. Speak to any of the VCS guys, they will tell you exactly that Nidalee loves to play in the 2v1s. You stick her into a 2v2, she's still pretty squishy. She can go in and get the kill, but can often get traded around back onto.
So what happens, like, if you go in a 3v2 and Nidalee just goes in too far forward, gets hooked, Caitlyn can actually turn that around into a kill combo. So yeah, the 3v2 on the bot side, not something which Nordavind will be going towards lightly. There needs to be the correct setup for that. However, you know, I've got a lot of faith in Spooky and Luxie, this mid-jungle 2v2. As, of course, Sonoya was on the desk with him yesterday for the Eminem series. He said, yeah, these guys in the 2v2, very, very scary.
So have to keep our eyes on that. We've got a rough idea about how these teams are likely to be playing the game. We'll see whether it actually plays out, though. As Shakar quickly switches out to the sweeper, isn't going to pull off the old ward, then back for the reduced sweeper cooldown, just wants that sweeper out at level 1.
Question is whether this signals an invade of some kind, or whether this is going to be Shakal trying to go for. It's very interesting, right? Maybe it's just about having the jungle start not completely tracked. Of course, if you do spot the ward, it means you've been seen already, so it's a little bit of a moot point in that case. Question is, what's the maximum value that? Because of course they started with 2 sweepers here, because now that so the sweeper trick has been done by the Nautilus, not by the Evelyn.
Interesting. Indeed, you're completely right. You can see it is the 5-man fan. Nautilus did back to pick up the sweeper, having placed down that early ward. See how it all plays out from this point. Doesn't look like we're getting any crazy shenanigans. Nidalee now looking to go down to what looks like that blue buff. Evelyn staying around her own blue buff. So it does look like our initial predictions were correct. Evelyn will be looking to path towards bot lane.
It's 1 for 1 so far.
Indeed.
See if we can match the. Of course, we don't have to give our predictions on who's going to win. We don't have a sweeper here on the side of Nordavind. Maybe we will be going for a traded, a mutual Raptor invade. It looks like we're going to have that.
It might well be splitting the map. Nordavind will be spotted heading on in here. The missing ping comes out. Shakal and Acity with the sweeper spot out the other ward and head towards that red buff. Split map to begin with. He takes it and only 35. Just hanging around that bot side. They got the ward in that tri-brush. Maybe looking to get a couple pot shots off before something crazy goes on. Spooky has actually come through this way and will spot out the ward with the sweeper themselves. Eden dashing forwards now, getting a couple trades off in that mid lane.
Press the attack, Lucian.
Oh, yeah.
So nasty. You can start with the E. You can start with the Q2, but if you think that you're going to get just a little bit outranged so you can't land that auto, then yeah, you can start with the E, get yourself a free press the attack, not very high mana cost either. I also very much respect the Ignite coming out of the Lucian, however, with this early trade at level 1, level 2, HP not quite going in favor of Eden there.
Yes, he'll be hoping to stay within the garden and not outside it in the desert of death. And we'll see how that plays out. Shakal onto the Raptors now as well. Evelyn does so love taking those early on. See, Nidalee on the other side goes straight towards those Krugs.
This is what you remember what you were saying about Nidalee being the topside jungler.
I know.
This is. Well, I mean, Nordavind opted into it, but Nidalee is not playing towards that top side. I wonder if this will be a vertical jungle, try and steal the entirety, then we
looks like
a quadrant, and then try and flip the map at a later point. We do see a mark put down from Braum there onto the Nautilus. Good amount of damage.
3, does get that concussive blows off as well. Such a powerful ability, and only 35 will come out worse for wear with about half the HP gone. But of course, supports can come with a few more healing pots than their carry lane partners, and as a result, we'll be able to heal up just about okay.
Actually, memes aside, getting a lot of value out of that sweeper.
Really is.
So I think one of the other follow-on effects of this split map is the fact that Caitlyn is not on the strong side of the map. Caitlyn has a very clear condition of how she wants to play the game. She wants to be pushing fast. She wants to be taking the long trades and making sure, well, the longer range trades. As you see, trading it on the top side as I say that. But now Caitlyn having to play respectfully due to the presence of Spooky in that bot side. Actually, it's a bigger trade.
Does have to be very careful. There's a hook shot coming up very shortly. You saw Asti started that trade off, but on the retreat, Zveen has been able to just auto, and the flash predict from the Camille. It's not quite enough. The searing charge gets Acity out, but now Zvi needs to be careful. Shakal is around, but the back off is done in time. That wave is in an awkward position though, so you can see the Evelyn is going to have to show, going to have to turn up, and that does give Nidalee more time to get in and continue to get a bit of a farm advantage. Still camps up for this Evelyn right now. But wait, the near first blood, but it is the Evelyn that secures it. That got bloody close for Acity.
Sage, shame on me for trying to talk about something more like in depth rather than like there's a kill happening on screen. Now we've got to fight in the mid lane.
Oh, Luke C, he's got it. The Ignite is there. The zoom in from production, they know it, and that robot burns down. It's 2-0 for Absolved early on. Both solo lanes coming out on top. A little bit of help from Evelyn the top side, but otherwise, great news for the Absolved squad.
I had no idea steel was flammable. Luke C burning down, goes back to get the tier, and Vase says, yeah, that's very unfortunate. 2 kills from 2 very scrappy plays made on the side of Absolved.
That's the RNG emote coming out. Takes it once to rep that Uzi flare, I suppose. You can see Spooky was around, but a little bit too low HP to think about diving. And as a result...
yeah. I mean, sorry to cut you off. I'm just
no worries.
You know what I was saying? Like, oh, what happens if these teams don't play towards their drafts? Neither team is doing exactly what I think they should do. We've got the Nidalee not doing anything for the Camille. We've got the Caitlyn playing defensively on the bot side, and yet we've seen some very interesting plays come of that. It is Absolved who's been the beneficiary of that. Touch now within touching distance of Absolved members, but looks like a good trade from Lucy. Means that at least Eden can't join that and cut him off.
You can see that indeed. And then you see Caitlyn did start with the cult, so has at least prioritized the early item, which is a more defensive option if you just want to sit and scale.
I mean, it's the cult cut down Caitlyn.
Yep.
Who has one of the lowest base HPs in the game, meaning that everyone else tends to have higher base HP. Higher base HP than the Caitlyn, which means that cut down is activated for most of the game. You don't buy any HP components yourself. That means you just get a lot of extra flat damage against everyone on the road.
Ping's coming out now to go towards the Mountain Drake. Ripper doesn't engage somewhat in the bot side, but nothing comes of the hook going forwards as yet, apart from now a first proper shove in for this Caitlyn Nautilus, who will now get on the down for the first time in this game.
One of the important things is that, of course, Tide and Touch did not get to touch the tower. There are no plates down on that bottom side for the side of Nordavind. Level 6 hit for the Camille, not for the Ornn just yet. Nidalee is making her way down to the Dragon, which has now been started by Evelynn and the Prior from Lucian. So man, that's probably going to be end up being uncontested because, of course, the bot lane also pushing in the favor of Absolved right now.
Gonna get that Dragon down to about half HP. Nidalee on her wolves is not gonna contest. You can see outside of that one ward spotted Lucian going into the river. This whole area is completely dark. Shakal inches away, you have to go from level 6. Ult in the top side. Zveen taken pretty low. That's the brittle proc, and it does take a fair amount of damage, but they're both very low here. There is kill combos potentially going out.
Knight on the Ornn from the Spellbook. Importantly, you know, if there was another W cooldown, another brittle, no flash was available from either top laner, but yeah, the combat spell picked up from the Spellbook. No grasp on this Ornn. There's a lot of kill pressure there, you're right.
Spooky is living up to the namesake and being a little invisible in this bot side brush. Looking to try and get engaged.
To get Spooky.
Alright, only 35 now wanders into that bush, but he was spotted doing so by the Nidalee and the like, so this could well be that 3v2 we call that potentially a little risky. Nothing as yet. Nidalee still off vision. They don't know she's here, but takes it, stepping forward now. The recall being channeled. Wait, no, it's getting cancelled. Just hanging around this. They really want this play, Nymera. Only 35 now, step forward, they flash away from the Nautilus. The Jhin root comes through. The Deadly Flourish does exactly what it's trying to do. The Aftershock is keeping the Nautilus alive for so long, but Spooky finally gets the kill. Level 6 there for Shakal, who's invisible. Here, Touch so low, has to flash away now. The Evelynn has revealed herself.
And there's a solo kill in the mid lane. So yeah, Nordavind pressured bot lane so hard. Spooky stays there for a good 30 seconds.
Done.
Curtains are called.
They are being called. Takes it, avoids through 2, 3. That's Shakal going in, gets the kill with the last caress. They stuck around for the curtains, and it is instead Shakal that will write the review, and it is a disparaging one. Evelynn comes out with a second kill after that one.
The heart may be the strongest muscle, but it doesn't matter when it stops beating. Shakal gets the kill. 2 stacks on the Dark Seal for that jungler. And of course, there's Lucian off to the races. Got to see how that's happened. So we've got ourselves a replay. What's happening? It looks like we've got a flash, got an ignite available. Very low HP from the Orianna, who might just, well, maybe thinking with the shockwave can disengage. Just doesn't matter. Doesn't even need the culling. Has the sombrero. Good kill combo from Eden. Really knowing his damage output.
Eden doesn't need any jungle attention, has got himself up to a very significant lead here in the mid lane. You can see as well the Evelynn, Shakal's kind of pocket pick, also coming out to a very strong early lead. And Evelynn that has now got Runic Echoes and a stacking Dark Seal is a terror to a number of the squishy members on Nordavind. But on the top side, Zveen's gone in, has got Asti very low. Call of the Forge God comes out. Zveen trying to get the kill. The precision protocol isn't enough. The ignites come down, and Shakal is hunting. Those hate spikes come through. An electrocute proc secures it. 4 stacks on the Dark Seal, 3, 0 and 0 on the Evelynn, and Nordavind are staring down the barrel of the gun, and it's not even 10 minutes.
It just seems like all the individual players go inside of Absolved right now. It's 100 HP, if that, in that top lane fight, and Zveen, this guy that we put up as, hey, this guy is maybe up there with Doxy, this guy who got our MVP from the first qualifier. Spooky's made his way topside, has a double buff.
There is no last caress, yeah, there is no way out. The Evelynn has got flash, might need to use it though. Spooky looking for the hop forward. The pounce flash is enough to get the shutdown, and that's big news for the Nidalee, who picks up her second kill and a healthy bounty pot of gold.
Also, gets rid of all those stacks on that Dark Seal. Now gone, put clean, no Magi's to be built up by Shakal right now. That is kind of against the run of play. Stays a bit too long, pushing in the wave. Had no last caress, like you were saying, no escape options. Did try and flash away Bison's space, but of course Nidalee has that anyway.
with jungler dead, you can see that Nidalee hops her way over to that Rift Herald. The recall from Asti, who was, to be fair, very low, kind of left Shikal a little overextended. The punish comes through. And that's going to be a bit of a blooper on the reel that Shikal has been putting together for this game.
A bit unfortunate there. Ignite almost up in the mid lane. You have to watch out for that pressure
Wait,
again. Curtain calls in the bot line though.
Both very low members here. Only 35 taken very low. The shield comes out. Takes that. Will survive. The Benny coming forward. They're both precipitously low. Heal. Tide. Double kill with the bouncing grenade. That is a style point for Tide. Roll Tide, you might say, as Eden goes down in the mid lane. And Nordavind, out of nowhere, suddenly right back into this game. Gold evened up. 3 kills in about 30 seconds there.
I appreciate the continuation of the Blues Brothers reference there. I don't think I missed that. Asti walking down towards the mid lane, but just as the Ignite comes up, Nordavind know that's going up, and they punish him accordingly. Now, there is no Hextech ultimatum, but
Carlos here has got less caress. That might be a very dead Camille. The hate spike missed, but the charm still in. Shikal gets that kill, but that will be a 1-for-1. The core of the Forge God goes nowhere because the Forge God is dead.
Forge lays silent. That's
Indeed.
It. Bellows no longer breathing.
Indeed. Turns out that's not a spear, it's not a javelin Spooky's wielding, but the Lance of Longinus. And we'll go in and see a replay to see exactly how this all played out in bot.
A huge trade just before we panned down there on our spectator in live. It just takes so much HP off of both these members. There is no good turnaround damage. It's only on to touch if that as well. The Guardian comes out for that. That means that just the HP trade allows this huge combo, and then just tick, boom, bouncing grenade comes out. Oh, it's just, you love to see it. That is so satisfying.
Oh, that one, it's not quite 4 kills for the Jhin Pensive. That feels pretty good. Mid lane engage comes in. Sveen goes for the hard engage over the wall.
No vision. Good pink water to make sure that the angle tag is there. Shikal has no ult.
He doesn't have ult. He goes down, and Absolved have let their early lead fall away. They lose. I believe, got the dragon at least.
It would have been a ult smite from Evelyn, one of the hardest champions in the game to outsmite. Unless you're Nunu, you're probably not going to be out damaging that huge amount of damage coming out of them. Now we've got, particularly with the boots and the rune glaive. Runic echoes, no, we don't talk about rune glaive. Completed by the Evelyn. Really, really large amount of damage. And touch, oh no, dude!
He stepped way too far forward. He did not want to find that one. Has at least got himself a stopwatch. And Nidalee goes in and gets herself the kill. Says, you think you've got my support? I will prove you wrong. 4-0-2 on the Cougar. Gets a lot of damage out in that jungle fight.
Yeah, you could have been forgiven for thinking that Touch was playing Trundle there, because he just clubs him over the head.
Wait, it's not done because the teleport now coming in. Tide and Touch in a bad spot. Shikala has respawned, has come in, gets herself the allure, and the shut down comes out for Evelyn. Picks up her 5th kill of the game. Jungle v jungle action. It's pretty damn close thus far.
Big shutdown onto, it seems like, the member of the team which is pulling all of the stunts right now. Shikal very, very far ahead. The stacks on the on that seal have been going up and down and up and down. Now left at 2 and is building towards the first NLC large rod item.
We have got a replay though, courtesy, to see what's going on and what happened in that dragon fight.
But Asti, no.
But we might not have time because Asti does manage to avoid what looked like a potential engage there. My color caster got me really primed for that one.
Yeah, I'm just sat there, I'm like, oh, maybe there's something interesting happened. Apparently not. So let's see how this all starts. Okay, it wasn't even the ult smite from Shikal. It's Camille doing Camille things, has to ult away, and just goes straight into the pit. It's unfortunate.
It is a little, gets caught out, does go down. They did secure the Drake though. You were right to call out ult smite as a great combo. They just don't use it there.
Okay, wow.
Didn't feel they needed to.
That whole like 30 seconds I spent talking about this really cool thing which Evelyn can do.
It'll happen later in the game. I nearly guarantee it.
You know what's really interesting to me about this top lane right now is because Zveen has had some really good flanks in the last couple of minutes. Had one to the mid lane, had one to Shikal right there. See what's happening top lane. See if Tide actually sticks under this turret. Sees the Nautilus backing off, so he's free to clear that wave. If you look at what's happening with the CS and how they've these top lanes have impacted the map, normally you'd expect these champions to be the other way around. You expect Camille to get the lane advantage and then Ornn just be ulting across the map. It's been Zveen who's been really getting stuck in the thick of things right now. Really pulling off a lot of good plays.
Notable CS as well. It's about 50 actually between the two top lanes, which is massive, of course. Zveen has died.
2-level advantage to the Ornn is actually
very significant, of course, and we're still waiting on that level 14 break point to start seeing some of those upgraded Ornn items come up for teammates. Exactly that. Death Cap will likely be in for Evelyn by that point as well, which will be a terror. A Death Crown for the Mistress of Pain will be a pretty scary point to be at. Shakal, though, might find himself in a bit of a tricky spot in this river where you can see team members are starting to hover around looking for a bit of a fight somewhere out there. Control Wall will spell the Evelyn. Spooky goes in and just destroys the Nautilus. No aftershock, no hope. As Spooky finds 4th kill of the game, doing a lot of work on the Nidalee this game as well.
Zeden did have the culling, might have tried to gun down 1 or 2 of those members of the Nordavind. Of course, touches there with the backup shield. Means that he doesn't really want to pull the trigger on that either. Big plays coming out of Nordavind. This game is very, very even. Eden, you don't know.
He does have a relentless pursuit to find his way out of trouble.
Yes, the relentless retreat.
Relentlessly retreating indeed. Spooky, we talked about Evelyn's Dark Seal earlier in the game. Spooky has 9 stacks on that one as the siege comes in mid. You can see exactly what's going on. Mid lane tower stands, but a bit of sieging had to come out before, or a little bit of, well, the culling coming out to clear
I know that's the sound of inefficiency. Sven actually, Sven, wow, going for the 1v2.
Oh, there is the call. The Forge God flashes for the Hextech ultimatum and immediately offers up another kill to this Evelyn, who just destroys
I was
the
ready
Camille.
to say, oh, Sven, really good. Oh, he's gone. He's just
Oh
deleted.
my days. Yeah, well, that is Evelyn up to level 10, picks up a 6th kill, is a terror in this game as well as an Italy, who has at least managed to get a bit of a farm advantage here for herself, has managed to not die, got that Rod of Ages fairly early on, got those 9 stacks, is going to pick up a 2nd Rift Herald as well, which would be good news for Nordavind, who have actually got themselves a gold lead here, kind of at the 16-minute mark.
Question is, where are those gold leads? Where are the deficits? Importantly, Nordavind has no gold on that Camille. You look at what Evelyn currently has, well, almost the most gold in the game. Only shadowed, of course, by Spooky, who's gone 4-0-3. Need to keep talking about that jungle matchup.
35.
But it's the supports which are in trouble now. Only 35. Goodbye.
Yeah, the shockwave comes out. Spooky picks up a 5th kill and will extend that lead in the jungle pretty well there. Both junglers have done well this game. It's Spooky who still come out somewhat on top, and with the dragon spawning, that will give the 4v5 advantage and the green light for Nordavind to secure their first Drake of the game.
So it's just really awkward for both teams in some regards, because of course the Camille is so far behind where she wants to be in this game, but the Caitlyn is too. And now we see that the Nidalee very, very far ahead because of the amount of kills that they've managed to get onto the likes of this Nautilus in particular. Only 35. We saw him play the Pant-integrated fight even versus Barrage, come out some great roaming plays. We've also seen them. Oh, Shakal caught out now.
Does avoid the deadly flourish, has got the last curse to find the way out, avoid the curtain call, but now Eden heading forward, trying to get onto Spooky, taken very low, but that is the command protect that does keep them alive. The Caitlyn ace in the hole is blocked as well, now touches in a difficult spot. Goes golden, does only 35. Eden gets a 1-for-1, but it is still tied. That picks up another double kill. 5-1-1 on the Jhin in the game.
This bot lane of Nordavind is really putting in the work. We know that Tide and Touch have played together for such a long time. 3 to 4 splits on the same roster, and now we've seen them just impact this game so much.
Call the Forge God. They're thinking about this one, trying to clear the wave, and takes that coming behind. Spooky now in trouble. Flash him from Shakal. Gets the Jhin put in the dirt, and now takes it, steps forward, and it will be the Pilt of a Peacemaker missing, but Acid flash, searing charge to put the Nidalee in the dirt alongside her AD carry. Nice response from Absolved.
I have never seen a Caitlyn flank in my life. How does that work? This is Swanfang all over again.
Oh, it's not Safari Caitlyn, but it feels like it, going big game hunting in the mid lane.
Clever girl. Comes out, really big shutdowns, and that's a lot of gold in particular going over to Acid. Picked up an 800 gold shutdown onto Spooky, has completed both of those personal ornaments, the masterwork items coming in from that champion. And yeah, you're right, there's going to be a lot of gold going over to the likes of this Evelyn. If you go for this death cap, oh, I'm not sure you want to be there, Eden.
Eden takes a shockwave to the face, but it's not enough to kill. Now Lucy is actually a little bit low on the mana. Eden tries to get the culling, but there's just not enough damage. Lucy taken very low, but there is no return follow-up from Absolved. As a result, it's just the 1v1 kill for Lucy, who is starting to come online here after the early lane was a little bit tricky.
And we saw a little bit of, not to throw shade, but of course, lurks on Lucian when in some of his first games on the stage. He was caught by Cassiv here in the top lane brush, kind of just dashes up to the wave and just gets caught. Sometimes you just lose the track of where people can be on the map, and you get caught out by it like that, and you lose a good couple of minutes of farming time. That's very, very important because this Lucian wants to be getting up towards that Miramar. mana. 3-item spike when you get the Infinity Edge there, it looks like, because the pickaxe is coming through. Going to be very, very important. We saw in that last fight, Eden dash in, be inches, just dozens of HP away from taking down Spooky. Had to go through the exhaustion touch as well. Very well played from him on the Braum. But if this next item comes through in a timely fashion, those plays go even more in the favor of Absolved.
I've got a call out here as well. There's a lot of people who have decided to move to Tokyo and pick up the Art of the Death Note. Evelyn, Nidalee, Oriana, all with that particular autograph book in their inventories. Also, I've got to point out, Evelyn has completed the Death Cap 7-0. Indeed, that first Masterwork item, the Death Crown, comes out. There are so many squishy members on the side of Nordavind as well. I don't think there's anybody who survives the combo right now.
Interesting question. Can we get a number for the AP on this Evelyn? I actually compare that to the AP on both Spooky and Lucy.
I don't have time though. We've got a fight going. It's going to be a 3v2. Shakal going in, looking for the kill. That is the Hextech ultimate. Not enough to get the execute, but the damage is huge. Spooky steps forward to 1-for-1 though, because that Ignite finished off what the Evelyn started. Spooky now needs to try and get out so very low, but they can't step forward. Ashley in a 1 versus 4. He's tanky on Ornn, but I don't think he's tanky enough. Gets stunned up, and it's about to go down, trying to find his way to the bush, but there will be no respite. And Tide picks up another kill. It is a 2-for-1 overall in that particular engage.
Every single Magi is turning into quite the page turner. A number of stacks picked up across the board, but it is, of course, 2-for-1 in favor of Nordavind. It will cost them this turret. Chicago looking to put down a little bit more.
Stepping forward, teleport as well. Take set goes down. Now we see the Nautilus left alone as well. Falls for a second kill, and 8 kills now on to Jin, who finds himself on a multiple of 4 and very content in the game.
And take game, take set, take team fight and a Baron on top. Nordavind rushing over, and this might be the straw which breaks the proverbial camel's back, because this will twin very, very nicely into a reset into this Infernal Dragon, which has spawned neither team on that Dragon point. Of course, there's been so much happening across that. We've barely checked in on the Dragons after that one unfortunate event which led to Shakal dying earlier in the game, when I thought it was an old smoke, but it was just regular old. You know,
never mind take set, you're right. This could well be just take match for this point. And Nordavind pick up a huge advantage off a couple slightly over-aggressive plays, but Absolved look to want to trade back here, trying to get onto this Dragon, which just disappeared. It's secured, but now they need to try and find their way out. There's a lot of members here who would love to punish. There is the ult out of the pit. Absolved now retreating. Spooky on the hood. It is a very fast Nidalee, has got herself the ball on the back there with a dissonance to speed her up, but it's still not going to be quite enough, of course, with the Magi's as well. Well.
So, yes, we do have over 10 stacks from both the Magi's on the side of Nordavind. They are shoving down this mid lane in a turret. And this will be a very, very powerful Baron power push, because they do have the ability to just chuck the ball into the turret, use that not chuck the ball into the other one, the Deadly Flourish from the Jhin. They're very, very confusing, let me tell you. And it's not even just going to stop at this mid lane inner. They don't have enough wave play. They don't have the flanking opportunities either. Caitlyn's taking blue buff of all things, and they're losing themselves 2 turrets in the mid lane.
You see Shakal was trying the shadow in the bot side, but couldn't find anything. Now Asti caught out, but there is still the Evelyn around trying to get something in. That's still a very tanky Ornn, but there's so much damage following up now, and Tide is on a rampage. Who told you Jhin was bad at taking out tanks? He's not so bad when he's got 9 damn kills this early on into the game. And he is continuing to roll over the back of this particular fight. They've got the pick. They're going to siege in onto this bot tier 3, and they're going to try and take as much with disadvantage as they can.
This is the siege. Normally you see the Caitlyn doing that themselves, but Jhin is no slouch, and of course the Braum holding up the door for any potential engage is really, really limiting Absolved's options. Remember, of course, all of us were saying, hey, we probably take this over, and there's a flash hook.
We're going to see a flat hook, and that's only 35 trying to find its way in. Flash in from Shakal! Gets the shutdown on the Jhin. That last caress was huge from the Absolved jungler, managing to get onto that key member there and prevent the continuing siege.
Gold lead be damned, Baron be damned. It is Shakal dragging Absolved back into this game, pick by pick, kill by kill, and now has the extra stats and extra movement speed coming through from the Magi's herself. This Evelyn very, very strong now.
Absolutely true, but they've got to look at the rest of the members. Yeah, Lucian's doing okay. 4 and 4 has got the Muramana transformation. Caitlyn finally picks up her second item, but it's at 0, 3 and 2. This Nautilus is now at 0, 6 and 2. Yeah, at one point, he was 0, 4 and 0. Took a big beating in this early game. We're going to go into a replay and see how this one all played out.
Let me present to thee what a very underfed support can do. Lands the flash hook, holds people in place. Shakal does the rest of the legwork. Luxie is out of position, doesn't have any of the cooldowns left to try and disengage the team fight. Gets a huge kill onto the Jhin as we're talking how strong that guy was heading into this team fight. Nearly picks up 2 or 3 kills, but they'll have to settle with just the one.
Yeah, Syndra has an outplay button, but so does Evelyn, and Jhin doesn't have all that many tools to deal with
You
it.
say that, but like Spooky just did 1,000 damage to that Gromp on one
Exactly,
takedown.
you're going to see an engage here attempted by Zveen, won't work
They're
out.
going in, really deep.
Next thing, but Shakal is here as well. That is potentially a mistake. Not enough time to get the kill though, but 2 very low members. Shakal now waiting to see whether there could be more defined. Asti coming in on the flank.
Call Forge God maybe?
Maybe, thinking about it. Trying to retreat, trying to get the teleport back in now is Zveen. The allure comes through, but they won't find a thing. The door goes up. Goes golden as Luxie, trying to find as much time as he can, but that is so much damage. Caitlyn gets the kill.
Oh,
going
Tiger's
golden
really
is
far
in
up.
so much trouble. The speed means nothing. The damage, it means not enough. Asti gets that one, but at least Spooky gets one back before Caitlyn trades it away. Now Touch with the door up is trying to retreat, trying to escape, but will find no way, no hope, and it is a triple kill for the Caitlyn. Welcome back to the game.
It's the bonfire of the vanities. Every Magi's has their pages torn out. It is an absolute bloodbath. Corpses just littering the rift as we talk about it. Zveen lives to tell the tale on the side of Nordavind, but he is the sole survivor. 2 inhibs down from Absolved. They have to return to try and wave clear this base. But let's see how this all starts off. We were kind of side thinking, oh, they might be engaged here, and then they really go ham. Lucian caught under turret. 2 ults, 3 ults, of course, with the curtain call committed. Shakal not able to pull the trigger on the last caress. Doesn't think that execute damage would be enough. And what we see here is Acidy waiting for the door to be used, looking for the ult, but doesn't want the Braum to just deny disengage. And then the charm comes in, the hook comes in, and yeah, that's what really starts us off. A couple of key CCs landing in a row. Orianna not able to pull off the shockwave, and Tidus is way too far up. Flashes into the Searing Charge. Takes that, get hit by a big spear, flashes away, but that's just the bait for Spooky. And using Zhonya's versus Caitlyn, a very, very dangerous experience.
I've also got to call out, Hex Trinket means Jack all versus Evelyn. By the time the shield procs, you're already below the execute threshold. It will not save you. Go for a QSS, go for something else, because Hex Drinker means nothing. And you saw it there, took so much damage even through that.
A lifeline passive really just does not matter against Evelyn because of that extra increase. The amount of damage amp you get on the ultimate means that if you are in that range, you probably die. It doesn't matter if you have the extra HP.
So point now for Absolved.
Evelyn looking for the flank, actually rooted up, takes a bit of
Being tied, got to be very careful. Shakal wants it. Spooky there as well will be a fantastic target. See, they're trying to find something. The allure coming out. Lucasi's in trouble. Nearly goes down, but that is a good use of the Hextech ultimatum. But Eaton gets the kill onto Tide. Evelyn falls at the back end, but it's still a double. There's so many people down. The bot side for Nordavind falls down. Goes to Lucy, but that's just chance for a trap to go down. Takes that game and will take the fight as well. No chance to get to the blast cone, and it is nearly a full ace. It is Spooky alive to tell the tale, but it is a horror story that Nordavind have got left in this game.
I mean, Spooky is alive. There's no jungler. They see the spear fly over the wall, so now Absolved know what's up. Looks like Ashley's had to go back to try and wave clear, but that's a spear landing onto only 35. They're really trying to compete for this.
They've got to be very careful, even thinking about hopping over, but he would get blown up as well. Only 35 needs to body block, needs to stop Nidalee getting in. This would be so. They want this so badly. They burst it. They get it. They get out. Spooky cannot find his way in to try and secure that Drake.
You thought the Caitlyn ults coming through and bopping people was bad. You thought the Lucian dashing in with the Molten Edge, also both AD carries having that for that fight.
Huge upgrades.
And then, of course, the last caress, even losing those Magi stacks, having the Infernal Dragon for the extra assassin and the Soul on top of it, the pops are going to be, frankly, ridiculous.
And, yeah, I think we have got to call that out as well, because as far as value from ornaments goes, double Molten Edge and Death Crown is huge. Nordavind are starting to feel the pressure. It's 21 of 21 in kills, but they are down Infernal Soul. Yes, they've got a gold lead, but versus these items, versus the team comps as they are, you can see they're feeling a little bit pressured here.
Absolutely are. And I really want to praise how only 35 has been going for the big hooks. Regardless of the KDA, regardless of where their individual game state is, they know that just, Nautilus, if I die, yeah, that's fine. All I have to do is land the hook. And that's what happens again in this fight. I really like what Lucchese is trying to do on this Orianna. Try and zone control, but Tide gets caught. That's the hook. That's what matters. The Zhonya's comes out, sure, whatever. I mean, the stopwatch, rather. And the Braum is just not in place in time to stop that Call of the Forge God. Of course, the Evelynn shut down on the side, but just buys time. Both the AD carries, very high HP. The Shockwave hasn't done enough in this fight, and they just roll it over as soon as the Jin's dead.
And it's also, we said, like, well, where is this gold? We've got to see Nidalee is very far ahead, so is Jhin very far ahead, but this Camille is not. And on the other side, you're looking at double AD carries who are now very much in the game. You're looking at Evelynn, who has been in the game since hell. That first blood came through. Curtain Call now coming out, but it might be a little bit too late. Blue team secure it with the help of a Caitlyn. That's an unusual one for Absolved, but now the fight continues. Door goes up for touch, but will the re-engage come through? Rooted in place, Sassy to still manage to get the ball forward. And Shakal in the backside eviscerates the back end. It is a slaughter, and the last caress, and a Lucian double up to absolutely run over the fight. Sveen is the one man standing, tries to clear out the way, but it's not enough. And with Baron, with 4 members dead, you can see Absolved are looking to try and push an end. Only 35 is buying time, trying to stop this Camille from finding her way back. It may well get the kill. The Lux thumbs up come out. It ain't a double rainbow, unfortunately, but it will be the game for Absolved. They started the game well. They lost control in the mid, but these late game fights will earn them the victory, will send them towards the final, and will let them take this particular victory with pride.
I am astounded that was a 31-minute game. The amount of action which happened, the early soul, many
47
Baron
kills.
fights, 47 kills all in all. One absolute banger of a game. You only get us for this one game, unfortunately, but what the heck, I'm glad I was here for it.
Felt like enough action to fill out a full 3-game series, that's for sure. Credit again to both junglers there. I was well impressed by both Spooky and Shakal there, who came out some really good plays on both sides of the map. Also good play from behind. Camille went behind pretty early on, still managed to find some good flanks. The Nautilus later on into that game after things started going a bit wrong, still found the big engages. So credit to players from playing from behind as well, I think.
I really want to praise in particular Takeset and Only 35 team because they were really put in a difficult situation. That is not a lane which wants to be playing 2v3. They did get put down a lot. They were very far behind, and there were a couple of fights where you can rightfully ask some questions of them. For them to kind of maintain that mental fortitude and come back with a triple kill on the Caitlyn, some hooks which really started off some of the big turnaround fights, I need to really praise them for that.
Yeah, and there's praise to be had as well, even in the loss. Nordavind did a very good job. I mean, I've also got to give praise to the opposing bot lane. Like, some of those 2v2 kills were really phenomenal. That bouncing grenade kill under tower was one of the most stylish I have seen in some time. But I think far be it from us to continue to praise the players, because we've got an analyst desk that can do that for us. So from myself, we had a lot of fun, but we've got to hand it back over to the desk, and they'll take it away from here.
You got me trapped inside this spell. Now I feel like your demons drag me close to hell. I can feel that.
And there you have it, everybody. That is the semi-final done. Absolved taking that win. We had them heavily favored, but man, did they have to scratch and claw for that one.
That was not the clean victory that maybe we were more expecting to see, but we got to see Shakal on his archetypical Evelynn. It was a pop-off. It was fun. It was very backwards and forwards. Spooky had us all spooked for sure. That Nidalee was to fear. Milo, you're looking dapper all of a sudden.
Yeah, I had them all along, you know. Yeah, we both predicted it, as you said. Wasn't as well as we hoped for. It kind of became the Titan touch show at one point, but they pulled it through.
Yep, so as you say, it wasn't the cleanest of victories. And if we go all the way back to the draft phase, Milo, I know you did have some questions about the draft phase from Nordavind's side.
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Braum pick. I think when you were looking for that last pick, you were kind of needing some more engage. You only really had the Camille, so that meant you were kind of having the issue with like if she gets a drop, then you have like no engage, and then it all gets turned. And then also with the Jin, like proccing the passive gets really awkward. I get that they want to do it against the Ornn to block the ultimate, but even that, like, that means you have to save it and save it for ages. If you use it early, as we also saw towards one of the last fights, then the Ornn ultimate will come out anyways, and then you are just gonna die anyway, so it doesn't really do anything for you then.
So we'll touch on it later again as well. But yeah, R5 aimed at the Ornn. When you pick R5 for support in bottom, that means you have a strong AD carry that maybe now doesn't have the best matchup, and you need to force a win, or you need to influence something on the map that really matters. The Braum was aimed squarely at the Ornn, and it didn't really land. But to give credit to Nordavind, they did make it work in the 2v2.
Yeah, Titan Touch played out that lane pretty consistently. That's what we expected out of this pairing, but they did have some stylish moments on top of it as well. Casting back to that two-man double kill grenade under the tower from Tide to seal off that fight. That was just chef's kiss.
It was beautiful.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've gone over Titan Touch. We didn't like the Braum. We liked their play. The play that I did like, I was a big fan of Spooky in this game. He was doing so much work for Nordavind in that early, kind of that mid game to pull them back into it.
Absolutely. As Nidalee approaches that level 9, the end, you know, they just rip the engine and it's like, I've cleared the jungle a few times now. It's time to fight some people. And fight some people, Spooky did. It was very scary there for a moment for Absolved. If Spooky didn't fall off and didn't really, but if Spooky didn't end the game on his own, it was still going to be very dangerous for a long period of time.
Yeah. We also, as like now we're talking about Spooky, really strong. On the other side, we had Shakal on the Evelyn, the one we've been talking about, the one everyone's been talking about. It went through, didn't get banned, and he was also a big part of the first blood that ended up coming out. I was praising Svein a lot, but he ended up kind of playing it not really that well. And here we see him also. He didn't respect Shakal being up here. Nordavind was actually the one who decided to split the map. They were the one who decided to let him be top. Svein still plays very aggressive, and it ends up actually costing him his life. He goes aggressive against several times. He gets him low several times, but he just doesn't respect that Shakal does have that top side advantage of the jungler.
Absolutely.
And this means that we are entering in a situation like this one, where Svein is low, Shakal's up towards there, and Acid is just building his items.
There's the assumption that he saw on the ward that Eve did not yet have the blue buff and then would not return to top, and it just wasn't the way it panned out.
Yeah, he goes for the cancel there on the Ornn charge, but, you know, it's very nice to see, he's cancelled that great ability usage there, but if he just goes back to safety, you know, maybe he actually gets out alive.
Oh, well, we were just short of seeing Eden's moments later saying, I wanted first blood.
Yeah.
I mean, Eden did get that first blood and at least one more solo kill in lane to boot, but as the game progressed, we saw Luxie take more control of that one, finding his own solo kill in that top lane. And I think you were mentioning while we were talking about it in the middle of the game, Milo, that this is why people take the Orianna into this Lucian matchup, right?
Yeah, the thing is, so Orianna is really known to be picked into Lucian. Early on, Lucian still has that very explosive damage on you. But Orianna will always have the range advantage. She'll have this ball, she can move around, she'll poke you as much as she can. And we get later and later into the game, she just scales and she gets like strong enough to be able to hold you on base, so you will never be able to get close enough to her. And as we saw, you might kill him, you might still kill him once, you might still kill him twice, but he will not do it the third time.
Something we saw on the top side as well. The Shockwave has so much agency into Lucian that relies on his escape mechanism for a bit of extra damage. So I believe in the top side, all Orianna had to do was camp the bush. Fox used E to help clear the wave, and that was it. Q, Shockwave, bang, dead.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Eden there, but that was not the end of the story for Absolved. They did manage to get their way back into this game. Temporal, walk us through how they managed to make it happen.
So we started getting some scrappy fights where maybe Nordavind weren't cleaning house. They were picking off Shakal most of the time, but that Shakal still managed to get his cooldowns out, still managed to deal some damage. This was very noticeable at the blue buff fight later on in the game where Absolved was starting to get back in, but a 4-man Agony's Embrace did mean that the damage was done. And when an Evelyn is setting that many conditions, they've got to kill her, otherwise the stacks will get out of hand and she will start to 1v5. So they have to commit to this. They have to use the Braum shield ahead of time to block charm. And it just got out of hand because you've still got Ornn coming. You've got 2 AD carries on 3 items apiece almost. And it just started to get really, really difficult for them to clear the board of Absolved, which they had to do to continue in these fights.
Yeah, for sure. And as they were kind of pushing them back into this game, it all kind of came to a head at the Soul Point fight for Infernal Soul, where Absolved were finally able to get that massive piece into their arsenal to get them back into the game. Milo, we saw great ults on both sides, but ultimately Absolved, they did take it down, right?
Yeah, we had. I want to like really emphasize the fight around this last dragon though, because we saw it playing really well. We actually saw as it went for the Ornn ult, it did get blocked by the Braum shield here, but it got far enough in to actually get that passive onto a lot of people. We see that we have the flank coming out from Shakal. He gets spotted, the Camille ult gets onto him, but even though it gets onto him, he gets out to the edge, he gets his ult off, hits 4-man, getting a massive damage done. Meanwhile, we actually see, even though we have so far ahead on the Orianna at this point, or at least we got a lot of gold on it, the ult just had no agency compared to the Evelyn ult in that fight.
It was a tickler, a real tickler. It did
and
like
that's how
100
we ended up
damage
turning
each.
it around.
Yeah, and with Absolved, with that salt in their pocket, it was not too long before they were able to get forward and get that win, which means they now have advanced, well, would have been advanced through to the final. However, we have received word from the NLC that there's not going to be a final played out here. So Absolved, this is the end of their road for the qualifier, but it is the beginning of their road into the Fall Open proper. They are joined by Dusty on the other side, so they took it over Eminem. I guess I want to get your guys' brief reaction on that. We didn't see the game, but Dusty going over Eminem going into the qualifier, I mean, we were not so sure who was going to take it. It was a split vote, but I mean,
we were pretty split. Both the teams are pretty strong. I believe both will have made it to the NLC Fall Open, but will now sit in different pools. So it will be Nordavind joining Eminem in the lower pool, whereas Absolved and Dusty will now be higher up. So a bit of a shame, but I'll have to watch that one later.
Yeah, looking forward to watching it. Well, I guarantee, even though I didn't watch it, it would have been a close game. And we did have, as you said, very good players on both teams. So I'm going to stick to what I said before the game. Coach Div.
Absolutely. That's the one, guys. Lock it in.
I'll check in with Pravius' bruised ego after this one.
Yeah, he's doing. Yeah, somebody call Pravius. He's crying, guys. But like, okay, well, so we're gonna have to unfortunately call it there for our coverage for the NLC Fall Open Qualifier 2. That is the end of the road for us as well. I mean, I'm excited for everyone to look forward and get stuck into the Fall Open proper as it does start off in 2 more weeks. But that is gonna be it. That's gonna be us. It's gonna be, well, it's been an absolute pleasure to host this desk with yourselves, Temporal and Minor as well. And of course, all of the other parts that we've done so far. I have to give out another thank you to all the production, Reed behind the scenes, giving us the replays, giving us the stream quality as well, and the casters, Initialize on Nymera, plus the whole rest for giving us such excellent content as these 2 weekends have progressed. So that has been us. That has been Square One. We will be back at some unknown time in the future. So watch the socials, watch the Twitter, jump in the Discord if you feel like it, and we will have plenty of news for you about what we're doing in the future coming up very soon. I have been Trajan. Thank you for watching.
It has been a pleasure. Until next time.
You gave it up before you even tried, before you even gave it a shot. So why should I feel helpless? Why should I feel useless now? So find another way to get into my arms, to get into my heart again. Nobody's ever gonna hold me down. The night is young